welcome back to My Life with Plants. I'm Newman, and today we're going to be watering my Brassavolas that are on mounts and talking about this clutter. When you do bring in your plants, you end up with clutter. It's very hard to control. I go through this many times over and over, and once again today, to control the amount of supplies and where to put them and how to take care of them. We've got this clutter here with these pots here that I got to sort out. Big supply area. Stuff that I really need, that I can't do without, and to once again take all of this stuff out and to sort it out. So clutter happens very quickly. I water my plants, I think, just about every day I come into here, and plus other parts of my collection. I think this is a lot of burden that a lot of people would not like to put up with, but I enjoy this, and this is no burden for me. So we got all these mounts with cattleyas and things and plants overflowing. Coming up with new plans for the coming year to be able to cope being able to cope with the amount of plants I have at the moment. There are many other ways to get around this, to make it easier. But for now, this was my plan. It's working quite well. It is a lot of work though with mounts. So here we have this Brassavola here. This is Nodosa, and Nodosa is just going to get a good soaking here. It's on a cork mount. It's been mounted on this for about 6 to 7 months. So to spend a lot of months outside in the summer, hanging under a tree. Could lose a few leaves. I do see signs of it trying to root onto this cork. And then here we have the Dolomite lime. I'm going to do that too. Alright. We'll take you along so that you can see where this is going. Also had a couple of leaves on it that had black spots on them, which was a very wet period in the autumn. So I do put this out this year. It'll be in a slightly different position than last year. However, not in full direct sun, because our full direct sun is extremely intense. I will bring you along and you can see where it is. Just put this twist tie around it. This wasn't planned. Okay, that twist tie is just going to stop it from slipping down the bar there. Okay. So here you can see that got a bit of a twist tie just holding this hook that I made. Down the bottom there are trays, because when they drip, they can drip into the tray, not on the floor. And of course, I did give the trays a good clean. I clean them every couple of weeks whenever I have time. I also got some other mounts hanging up there that do need water. This one's going to need another watering too. There's Vanda. It's cross of Falcata, Vandalion, Star Ducks, Falcata crossed with Sagaric Gold. We do have some good stuff going on here. I'll show you. Not too bad for winter. But this particular cutting I bought of a Cattleya, I've just mounted it in a basket. All it's got is this pumice to grow into. You can see that red has almost made it to the medium. It's got a new offset there. I even saw a root that was starting to hug the basket, which is right there. And it's kind of died off a little bit. There are perplexities of growing orchids, things that you just can't give answers to. They grow and then they root, and then roots will die back. It's hard to know what's going on half of the time. This one is about to push out a new root out of that new growth there. It's been holding on to these leaves. Did drop two, remembering that it was just a bare root cutting of a plant that's obviously overgrown. And I bought them cheap, but I was determined to mount Cattleyas this time around. So I've got a lot that are in pots and they don't particularly like it, especially Rincon stylus does not like being in a pot, and if it is, it'll be in a basket. A slatted wooden basket would do it fine. Definitely not in a pot that's got it hasn't got much aeration running through the roots. These are nice roots on the Cattleya beringiana. It's got that nice new offset. This one is very easy to understand. When it wants water and when it's growing and everything, it's very, very easy. You can have a lot of orchids and you just don't know what the heck's going on half of the time. This one is Brassavola Little Stars. This is one of probably my healthiest. This one was hanging under a tree. in, I would say, a little bit more brighter light than a doser, but it was still in the shade, bright shade, underneath a tree that has quite a large amount of branches and leaves on it. So you're just getting dappled sunlight all the summer long. And I did mount it. It was doing really well in its pot, but it was in a plastic pot, and I just had this premonition of it getting the rots during the high heat and humidity here in the summer. I didn't want to do that, so I didn't want to risk it. So being on the mount, it's like 100% sure that it's not going to succumb to any root rot at all. Why am I using the Dolomite Lime? Well, I'm always talking about the fact that these plants need a lot of nutrients available to them to be able to activate those roots and get the nutrition they need. And once again, the Dolomite Lime is full of calcium and magnesium, and it aids in also keeping the pH around 5.5 to 6, because unfortunately we grow in bark and sphagnum moss, and without it the pH would just rocket into the acidity. It will go right down to 4, and that would be terrible, for the plant wouldn't be able to activate any nutrients anymore through its roots. And a sure sign of that is the smell of the medium. There's a terrible smell, and also the roots die, making it look like that it's overwatered. It's got nothing to do with that. Okay, I'm going to put this one back. What's good about Ursivolas is that during the winter time, in their dry season, not really a winter, you get a whole lot less water and not as humid. This kind of can be drier too, the weather. If I put this one back, so it's hanging right there, you can see that it's kind of dappled bright light coming through. You know, during this, if I had a better setup in a spare room that was all devoted to plants, I would be able to set it up in a way that had a basin in the bottom and the sides would be covered, so that I could just spray them without moving them all the time. That would be, but I can't do it because these are not permanent fixtures. I got to take them all down and put them away. But in an ideal situation, it would be better like that, to save me moving them around and bumping them all the time. Bumping them around, and I can break pieces off them. You get disturbed a lot, which I don't particularly like, but I just have to do what I can. Alright, so what else do we have going on? This is my new purchase I bought. It's a Begonia Juanita jewel. can see here why it's called the jewel. This is a cane begonia, angel wing cane. Some of the easier ones to grow because they have upright cane-like stems, and once they do get leggy you can just cut them right back and they shoot off again, start growing. But this one's more of a rhizome. Grows from a rhizome. This is its latest, or its newest leaf. These are not growing in any cabinet or anything like that. They're just straight out in the open here. Not too bad, right? For no cabinet. You do have the telltale signs of slightly low humidity, but no kidding, it is about 30% outside during the day, and during the night it can get up to 80%. So these particular begonias have got to go out into a well-shaded, breezy area, and nature will take care of them in the summer because it is very humid here and hot. Yep. What else do we have? We have this Phalaenopsis that's doing really well now. And now once the summer comes along, I'm going to be taking this one into the passageway in August. Passageway is breezy in there, the coolest area for it. Well, these two have been doing really well now. I should be expecting flower spikes from them. And then down here we have another Brassavola, Gulf Shores Beauty, which is going to go back. And then we have this one. This is the one, actually see a gap in that pot because this is the one that succumbed to the stress of the summer. Not overwatered. I do not overwater my phals. I let them dry right out. But the heat inside here, it's hard to avoid, and they really need to be brought into the air-conditioned room. So you will notice that there is no other Phalaenopsis here, not in this room. So that huge pot's got to go into the living room during August into September, yeah, so that it doesn't get overheated and die like that one did. Whether that one gets roots on it or not, I don't know. I'm just hoping it does. What else do we have? We have this Vanda falcata. No, sorry, Vanda falcata crossed with something, and it's loose neri, and ta-da! Every winter time, it puts out its flower spike. So there it is there, and when the medium is dried right out, I do give it a good water, and I do use the dolomite lime too. Otherwise its medium will go all acidy, and it needs it anyway. And the roots are still in contact. Yep, it's a bit drier now, so that's expected. Once it does put out its blooms, they'll be pale blue, and they give off a wonderful fragrance, so that's great. Tenema polybourbon, it's been doing fine. Up here is a Vanda Falcata crossed with another Vanda that's native to Vietnam, I think, and it's called Green Light. It's very pale green flowers that, as far as I know, may not have fragrance, or it's very mild. Up here is my big Sologeny intermedia that's actually going to get a water now. So, yep, and before I do that, I'm going to have a bit of a clean up right here. Maybe wondering why I'm not taking them to the sink. Not when I'm spraying them with that dolomite lime. I want to block up the drains. It's as if I'm working in a nursery, plant nursery here. All the stuff I gotta do. It's non-stop. Non-stop. All the time. Oh. I'm like a one-arm paper hanger. Is that what you call them? Yeah. I'm gonna try to do everything. Then hold the camera. Let's put this one back. I think it's an allowed here. For a lot of you guys, you're looking at this and saying, well, that thing, yeah. In a tropical climate, that's kind of something that would grow in your garden easily. But the only thing that's holding it back here in Japan is the cold. That's the only thing that's holding it back from not becoming a noxious plant. Noxious meaning it is likely to take over and compete with native plants and even do better than them. That's noxious. But over here it can't be because of its tropical origins. It's not able to get that healthy, or that it's not able to get the right conditions. So Sologeny, you're next. And I'm going to be bumping you around a bit. Let me take this camera on the mount. Probably wondering what I'm going to be up to right now. That is, we're going to be watering this Sologeny intermedia. Whoa. Well, that didn't work. Did it? Alright, sorry about that. After dropping you, or dropping the camera, did you leap out of your seat? I did. Gave me a big fright. So I'm trying to juggle things around. So I've got this mount mounted up somewhere where you wouldn't believe, to be able to hold the camera here. Now this is the Sologeny intermedia. I'm going to take a sniff. It's just like fresh moss from the garden. So that is really great. Compared to some of them, when I smell them, I can smell a terrible imbalance. This has got perfect pH going on here. At this time of the year, I do expect any new growths to be making concertina leaves, which will be all, they look like they're origami paper that's been step folded. because of the lack of humidity, but so far so good. And it is pushing out a lot of flower buds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, who said a lot? A few. Okay. This plant still has a long way to go before it reaches its true size, which is quite an incredible big plant. As you can see, it's starting to overflow the pot here. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do the silly thing and repot it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave the plant alone, and if I need to do a cutting because it is over hanging over the pot, I will just cut at least 3 to 4 bulbs with roots intact. I'll just do that rather than disturbing it, because as you know, when you disturb some orchids, especially Coleogenes, you can set it back for 2 years flowering. Okay, it may be the winter time, but when it does get dry, I give it a good thorough watering. And this is the tap water, yes, but next I'll be using the good stuff. So here we go. Definitely I'm going to have to wash out the filter down there. There's a guard that's down inside there that catches debris. Okay. That felt good, but not on my shoulder. Alright. This is just the water that's been sitting for a day or two, and I had the dechlorinizer in it and a little liquid feed. Being a plant that's developing buds, it will still need a little bit of nutrition. Obviously I did something right, because this is growing really well, and not to mention when I did the sniff test, it's got good pH. So those other plants that are growing in the sphagnum, and the first thing I do is I check the leaf tips. If they're going all black, it's a sign that the plant's not able to pump up nutrients into its leaves because the pH is off. So those ones, I put the dolomite lime straight into the medium on the surface. and watered it well in. It's something that I'm going to have to work on more. I'm going to have to put mixed bottles of Dolomite Lime ready to go, because I have the habit of watering with the hose in the garden if it's not raining. I'd rather that it rained, yeah, but it can get a bit dry. Alright. I know you're all looking at this and you're thinking, what are you thinking when you see this pot? Looks like a hockey mask. That's what it looks like. Okay. Fortunately, I do have a hook. Lucky. Here it is up here. See that? Yeah, I'm gonna put these things back in that everybody curses about or finds them annoying, but cutting little pieces of the sticky yellow trap means that I hardly ever see fungus gnats. I actually saw 2 the other day, 2, and that's all you see anymore. So thing is with fungus gnats is that you got to look up your pests to become a expert at them. So with fungus gnats, all the males, usually they buzz around on the surface of the medium. They don't really venture away from their home. And the females are the ones that are a bit more willing to hop about from pot to pot and try their best to fly. And so that if you watch their behavior, they all like to sit on the surface of the soil and buzz around there. They don't really go up onto the tops of the leaves. So it's best place to lay your trap is where they live. It's on the surface. You can catch them all. And then once you have, you just got to keep it up. It becomes normal, like brushing your teeth. It just becomes a habit. You just do it all the time. It's just something you have to do if you got plants that are moist in your home. So I put its diaper on. There you go. I'm still good at doing this. I had a lot of practice. There you go, you got your diaper on so that you don't wet yourself on the floor, see? I will not tolerate dripping on the floor, that's why. Next thing you gotta do is put its net back on. You might want to know what this is. Well, winter sunlight can be quite intense, and as the weeks go on, it gets stronger. So that it's best to just put a net around the plant from the beginning. Nothing will go wrong. I had one year where I didn't put a net around it, and we got them to February. I noticed some telltale signs of burning since it's hanging up in such a bright window. So better to just cover it now, and as that sun moves around during the winter and then makes its way a little bit, changes its course, it's not going to burn this thing. The intensity changes. So this just helps dampen sunlight. There we go. I'm going to go and put that back now. Very, very bright sunny day. And Silogeny intermedia is going to go back up on here. There we are. That's what I do with that particular orchid. Every couple of weeks, you get some water, and it hangs back up by that in front of this window. There's certainly no lack of sunlight during the winter here in Japan, but the outside is too cold for it. It would make it shrivel and look pretty unhealthy. Yeah, so it has to come in during the winter. In the summertime it will be going into a slightly different position. I actually have some garden that I've taken hold of, put claims on, because living in this house here, actually half of this house is mine after all. I've actually come to the conclusion that yes, I should have some garden, and it is a big area, so I will be landscaping that. Not removing anything, but just making it better, and the existing shrubby trees there will be a home for the Silogenes here, rather than staying on the in front of the door there, because the sunlight does get underneath there, and the intense August and September sun can be pretty detrimental to the health of any orchid, including this one. So hanging them underneath the shrubs is one sure way of avoiding that, and I will be doing that this year for this plant. And in the and also once it does overgrow its pot, I would just take cuttings with 3 to 4 bulbs and plant them on, rather than disturbing the plant. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to put this Vanda back here because it hangs out here for the winter. Yep, I do have another Silogenes here. Well, I have two more actually. I think this one is Huet Mariana, and it's had a hard time. It was me trying to learn about how to grow them. But now this particular part of it has fattened up and has started growing happily, and its new bulb is tiny, yes, because of the stress it's been under, but it has a nice healthy root system now, and we should be seeing that growing really well. Let me just have a little peek at this one here. It's native of Australia, Dendrobium linguiforme. It's got a root popping out the back of it. But this one on the balcony, I think it was just too dry for it, being a mount. But you can see that root coming out, right? So it's definitely alive. So what I've got to do is put it in a much more but the humidity was fine. We just got to find a much more wetter area that gets a lot more rainfall, because it won't on the balcony underneath those eaves. It should help it grow better roots. Look at this thing. This is Bifrenaria terreniana, native to central Brazil. It's mainly it's a lithophyte. Grows right out in the open. We do give it a bit of water in the winter, though I should be careful, because if I give it too much, it might not want to flower. But its newest bulb is bigger than last time. In its natural environment, during the winter time, it shrivels up quite a lot. It makes you actually panic and get worried seeing the orchid shrivel so much, but this is what they normally go through in their natural habitat, so I've got to let it shrivel. Otherwise I won't get flowers. Alright. Okay, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you. Bye bye.